Hey everybody, what's up? Trey Griggs here, Beta Consulting Group, and you're here for episode 95 of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. If you would do us a favor, jump on over to Beta Consulting Group after the show and check out what we're doing to help companies tell their story, to build their brand. We're so excited about the work that we're getting to do with companies with their social media, and some of them are starting podcasts and all kinds of fun stuff. So we're having a blast. We'd love to work with you. Check it out. And while you're there, make sure you visit our swag store. We got some really cool items, some new t-shirt designs that are there, and it's our grand opening here in the month of July. So use the coupon code beta-GO to get 30% off your entire order of things like water bottles, coffee mugs, t-shirts, hats, all kinds of great stuff there. We're trying to build a community here. We're building a community of people that are pursuing excellence every day and putting a lot of passion in their work. And so we'd love for you to be a part of that by grabbing an item from the swag store and supporting small business. Great water bottle. Keep the water cool. A lot of great stuff going there. So we appreciate that. And also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, to TAS. These are the good guys in freight factoring. They're helping carriers keep those wheels turning with great cash flow products, including factoring, small business loans, discounts on fuel, tires, maintenance, all kinds of things, insurance needs. So a lot of resources to help carriers keep those trucks moving, because we appreciate all of you drivers out there and what you're doing to keep this economy moving. And if you're a freight broker, you can become a referral partner. Make sure that all of your carriers have everything that they need to keep those wheels moving, keep your freight turning. So check them out at TAS.com or click on the link that Morgan is going to put into the comments today. That takes you directly to my landing page with TAS, so they know that that I sent you. We've got a great week of shows so far this week. Today's guest, I can't wait to bring Will onto the show in just a little bit. But if you didn't catch the shows from earlier this week, make sure and go back and watch them on demand. You can get them right here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Had a great conversation with my friend Andy Tooley over at Sethmore on Monday. Yesterday, got a chance to talk to Dawn Salvucci-Favier at Green Screens. She's CEO and Chief Product Officer. Tomorrow, my good friend Chris Horton is going to be on the show. He's our Sales and Operations Director right here at Beta. We're going to talk about what we're doing here at Beta Consulting Group and his journey into transportation. This is his first gig in transportation. And then on Friday, we're going to talk about death matches and wrestling with my good friend Gunnar Miller, who's the VP of Sales over at 12 Point Logistics, and to talk about his upcoming match, August 5th, which I clearly don't want to get in the ring with this guy ever, but we'll talk about that as well. So make sure you check out all those shows on demand and come back the rest of this week at 10:30 a.m. Central for each episode of Standing Out. All right, let's get our guest on today. I can't believe this guy's actually on my show. I'm so excited about this. I've known this guy for a couple of years now, built a dynamic company, a lot of fun to hang out with, and just one of those iconic names in the industry. So everybody, please welcome to the show, from Edge Logistics, the founder and president, my friend Will Kerr. Will, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, Trey, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, listen, I appreciate you also coming to us on vacation. I'm sure you've got much better things to do after this is over, to go enjoy the beach and to have a good time in it down in Jamaica.
This is all day. Yeah.
This is the highlight right here. This is it.
Yeah.
Go on vacation just to get on the show. I appreciate that. Well, hey, man, listen, for those who may not know who you are, even though a lot of people sticks.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Will Kerr. I am the co-founder and CEO and president of Edge Logistics. We are a truckload freight broker that specializes in digital freight matching and automating the traditional Chicago-style freight brokerage workflow. We've had an exciting ride over the last 8 years. It's going to be year 9 coming up in September. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man, that's so exciting. Coming up on your 10-year anniversary here in just a few years, which is awesome. And Brett Cunningham, thanks for watching the show. He says, "Let's go, Will."
Yeah,
I appreciate you being in the show.
Brett's down in Colombia. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Is he living down there?
He is. He's living down in
Nice.
Barranquilla. Yeah.
Living the good life down there in
Yeah.
Colombia. So thanks for joining the show, Brett. Appreciate having you on the show. Yeah. So you guys have been going for 8 years. Yours is an interesting story. I want to hear more about this. We haven't had a chance to dig into this too much before, but you had a short stint at Echo, about 18 months, and then you decided to open up your own shop and have your own gig. Talk about that
Well,
process. What led
it's
to
a
that?
little more complicated than that. I was at Echo for about 18 months, and then we were doing really, really well. And I got upset because of some market fluctuation issues, and we weren't making quite as much money as we were making before that. And I thought, screw this. I could do something better. This business sucks, all that kind of stuff. And I actually went and left the industry entirely for about 4 months. And I was selling life insurance at Mass Mutual. And I don't know if anybody who's listening to the show has ever tried that before, but that is one of the hardest jobs ever. You have to cold call people and say, hey, I just was wondering, have you ever thought about what would happen if you died? And like that's like your whole day is doing that,
Right.
200 times a day. So quickly I grew tired of that and got back into the business again on the carrier side at another brokerage that was based in Canada, but had an office in Chicago. I worked there for another 8 or 9 months, and then we ended up spinning off and starting Edge. And we moved to Jordan, Lonnie, and I. My co-founder moved to Brooklyn, New York, and started Edge in a double wide trailer in a parking lot. Yeah.
Nice. No, that's a great. I've never heard that story before. Life insurance is probably one of the hardest products to sell, and probably the most
I learned
depressing.
a lot. The biggest thing I learned was, hey, maybe that freight business wasn't so bad after all.
Kind of put it all in perspective a little bit, and got you back.
Maybe being good at something and it being pretty fun is enough.
Yeah. I mean, door-to-door sales or cold calling can be fun if you got a great product, and life insurance is a great product. Like, it is needed, but man, it's just a depressing thing to sell. Like,
especially when you're like 23 and
yeah, exactly. Trying to convince people they need to think about death and what's going to happen when they die. It's not that desirable. So you started Edge with a co-founder and started moving that direction. What are some of those lessons you learned at Echo, as well as maybe even selling life insurance and the short time at that other brokerage that really helped you launch that and catapult it? What were some good lessons there that helped you get there?
It really was just that we were making a ton of money back then, and the business was a little different. It was a little more Wild West back in the old days, before like tracking and any of that kind of stuff. Visibility. And it was a lot of fun, and it was wheeling and dealing, and what you done for me lately, and selling on the phone, and we just thought that we could do this. I learned the carrier side at Echo. Our job was basically, we were just starting as a truckload broker at that time. They had a phenomenal LTL platform going already, and they already had most of the big enterprise clients. So our job was to build transportation networks, for the clients that they already had on the LTL side. So it was a really unique opportunity where we got to really just dive in and work on big accounts and big awards and really build out, custom carrier-based capacity solutions for case specifics. And that was a really great experience. And then when I was working at another place, we I got to do a little bit more of the operations, spot freight quoting, getting the freight on the board side as well. And once, the whole thing kind of came together for me, I thought we could really do it. Also, there was a few other young guys in Chicago who had started their own shops, like Rob Nathan and a few other people who, were pretty inspirational. And, we were like, well, if Rob could do it, then, then I could do it. Right. So I was kind of looking around and, feeling the pulse of what was going on around me. And I thought, why not? And really, Trey, what it was mostly about is Jordan and I, we just didn't want to make 10% of the money anymore. We wanted to make all the money. So
exactly.
originally it was just that we wanted to make more money type of thing. And then, within our first quarter, we did $1 million in sales. We were landing enterprise accounts. We were executing real truckload business, and building a brand name in the carrier market, which I think is the most important thing about what we did early on. And just went from there. All of a sudden, we started hiring people and, having more and more and more success. And, the big secret about this business is, if you pick up and deliver one load, they'll give you 2 more. And if you pick those up and deliver those ones, they'll give you 4 more. And then all of a sudden, it just goes and goes and goes. You're doing, $100 million a year or whatever, and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it's clear you're having a lot of fun. And looking back at those early years, the things you learned working with enterprise accounts probably made it much easier to have those conversations when you're starting doing business to land those accounts.
Yeah, having intimate knowledge of a customer's network is really important to get them to listen to you. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So you started out, doing sales, obviously founder sales. That's kind of how company starts. You do all the founder sales yourself. So you're a sales guy, and I know that's
a big part. I'm actually more of a carrier sales guy. I've done very little of the actual customer sales at Edge, to be honest with you.
You did more of the wheel dealing with the trucks.
A team of folks like Len Tyrrell and Jordan Lonnie and others who have really, Dan Cliff, who have really, done a lot of that and gotten all the banners on the wall for us. I've been mostly focused on, our carrier network and our branding and the carrier market.
Yeah, no, I love that. So, I mean, it kind of goes both ways because, carrier sales is one of those things where you got to talk a driver into taking your load. Even though you're paying them, you got to convince them it's the right load for them. So it's definitely a sale, that's for sure. When you think about sales, one thing I noticed about you as well is that you're really good at building relationships. You're really good at networking and connecting with people. Like, talk about that in sales, especially with carriers, building your network, about just building genuine relationships and enjoying the people that you work with.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the big truths about the business is that, the carriers are always there. Which broker has which lane for what rate from what shipper, that changes on a quarterly, semi-annual or annual basis. One of the other big secrets is, we all have pretty much the same rates and we all book pretty much the same carriers, so
your carriers and my carriers and vice versa.
What's really happening in the carrier market and who's running which lane, why, then you can really tap into the capacity, aggregate it, package it, and sell it to the shippers. And that's the way that real freight brokerage is done. It's carrier first. You got to get the trucks, and then you got to fill them with loads. And that's all based on your reputation as an individual, your product reputation in the industry, your brand, long term. You have to have all 3 of those things in order for to get active participation, active buy-in, and trust.
Yeah, and that's great too, because a lot of people that start a brokerage tend to think they need to get the customers first and then get the trucks, and it's it's really the opposite. No, it's massive to have the carrier. If you have the trucks, the freight will come to you. They'll work that out.
So there is a place in the business for the high service, high cost broker for small accounts that lack technology, sophistication, and visibility. And I think that will always be there, but that's not really what we do. We do more corporate enterprise type business. And when you're doing that, you really need to have capacity that works differently. There's a higher service level of service expectations. The KPIs that you have to hit on the scorecard are very difficult. And unless you're able to, not just book the first cheapest carrier, but the best carrier, the best fit. That's how you get carriers to actually pick up and deliver the loads on time. Another thing we always say is, you don't make money in this business by getting paid more than everybody else for no reason, or magically paying carriers less than everybody else, and having them pick up and deliver the loads on time at an excellent level for no reason. You make money in the business by, making less mistakes and getting things right the first time. And anything we could do, to improve our accuracy and our ability to pick up and deliver loads on time, and pick the right carrier, that's what keeps the customers coming back over and over again. And that's what allows us to be profitable and efficient is, not spending a whole day, chasing our tail, trying to recover bounces or, put out fires or fix problems. We're always, working on the next load.
Yeah. And that service level that you have, the reputation that you get through every load that you do, it really speaks to your brand. It moves towards that. I know Chris just said branding matters, and it does. Talk a little bit about how you guys have built your brand, like what's important to you in terms of what you want the market to think about when they see your logo or see that, Edge Logistics, spelled out. What do you want them to think about?
Well, the networks that we compete in, we're typically the smallest carrier or the smallest broker, whatever you want to call it. And, I think that, that's been our reputation is, we punch above our weight class. We're able to execute big boy business, even though we're, a small market team. And, what we really do is do things in a customized way based on the case specific non-monetary variables. So we have, we make, data-driven decisions, and we build networks based on, what's really important to that shipper. So whether there's sense of urgency, whether there is flexibility, whether it's short, long, heavy, light, whatever it may be, we're able to really find the right fit, and get that level of on-time pickup to much higher than the market. And when we're able to do that, we could pick up more loads per person.
Yeah. I love that phrase you said, punch above our weight class. I think that captures it, to a T. That we don't have to be the biggest team, but we're gonna hit a little harder than you think we can in terms of what we can do. Yeah, that's huge. Where did the name Edge come from? Any story behind that? Is it an acronym?
Yeah, we actually stole it. It's my father-in-law had a business called Edge Auto Rental in New York City. If anybody's ever been to New York, there's trucks driving around with our logo on them, but not our trucks. They are a loosely affiliated company. And originally when we were first starting, we were really focused on operations, sales, workflow, process. And I didn't really care about, what the name was or anything like that. So they already had like a marketing firm do all this stuff.
Like, let's just take that stuff.
Send it over, logistics under it, and and also it's a pretty cool name.
It is. It's a great name. I was curious.
It goes well with like the Chicago freight brokerage.
It really
one
does.
syllable power names.
That's right. I mean? No, it totally does. I just know if there was maybe an acronym or a story behind, where that came from. I'm a former teacher, and that's like, you beg, borrow, and steal. That's what they teach you. You beg, borrow, and steal everything. There's nothing new under the sun. So
a lot of people think that like we had this like well thought out plan and all that, but it was really trial by fire and figuring out everything one problem at a time.
Well, I mean, isn't that what entrepreneurship is? I mean, you just figuring out a problem. Like I'm sure the first time you started hiring people, you're like, okay, what do we do now? Like, how do we train them? How do we onboard them? What paperwork do they need? I mean, there's just so many things to figure out. For me, it's accounting. I hate accounting, and having to learn accounting right now with Beta is brutal.
Yeah, I tell people that running a freight brokerage is really running three companies at once. You have a load getting company, you got a load selling company, you got a load billing company, and they all have to be really really good. And they all have sales, operations, and marketing.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's true. That's a pretty good point. I hadn't thought about it like that. That's a good point. Now you've been doing this for 10, 12 years, something like that, if I do my math correctly. What are some of the changes you've seen in technology over that time period, and which ones have like really like been game changers for you guys? I mean, not to give away too much of the secret sauce, but like what are some things that have changed the industry, especially?
Well, I think, technology has been the core reason why all of this craziness has happened in the freight brokerage space since I got in it. The first big revolution was the TMS system where, the backhaulers guys and the Coyote guys and the command guys or whatever, all, they figured out a way to use, technology to book more loads per person. And, you went from booking 3 or 4 or 5 loads a day per person to booking, 10, 15, 20, 25 loads a day per person. And by being able to go like 4 or 5x production at an individual level, that's what really launched the start of, big time freight brokerage. Not just, onesie twosie business, but dedicated contracted freight, real backhaul carrier networks. Being able to execute actual awards for, $1 million awards for, enterprise customers, and compete against the national footprint drop trailer asset haulers. And when they were able to do that, that was a big technology transformation. And that's what set up, the launch of, the last 10 years.
Let me pause you. What was the first TMS that you worked on? Like, what do you remember? And what kind of
Echo Optimizer was the first one that I worked on. But there's so many, and they're all pretty much the same.
Was it a DOS system back then? What was it like, or was it a Windows system?
It was a proprietary system at Echo. It was cloud based. At the time, I knew zero about technology.
Yeah.
I can't speak very knowledgeably about it. I don't think Echo would want me to. But it was great, and it got the job done for sure. And I'm sure they've developed it a lot over the last 10 years, just like everybody else has. But C.H. Robinson, Coyote was the really big one that had the best in class, from what I understand, for a long time. But then there's companies like McLeod, and that's been really great, and many others. So that ability to get organized, capture data in a database and being able to use it to make decisions, over and over again, rather than just coming in every day and, building a new sandcastle.
Right.
That was the first big one. And then since then, it's just gotten better and better and better. I think digital freight matching was the next big one, being able to use case-specific logic and algorithms to match carriers with loads in real time, getting a short list, getting your salespeople the short list of likely candidates faster. Just getting, all it is just getting to the right answer faster. When I first started, you would have to make 25, 30 calls off of like random lists of carriers. We would go on carrier 411 and type in the backhaul city
do some
and
searches,
25 carriers and ask if they have a truck in Dallas, like that kind of thing. And now we just get to the right answer so much faster now. And when you're able to do that, you can talk about, things other than price, you know what I mean? And that's what allows, you to buy freight at the right price to maintain margins. Then after digital freight matching, I think the next biggest one that we're kind of in the middle of right now is, AI automation in terms of, spot freight, in terms of appointment setting, in terms of, billing, in terms of everything. Natural language processing technology is so exciting. And just like digital freight matching gets us to the right answer faster on the carrier side, NLP and, automation and AI technology is getting us to participate at levels that we've never been able to before on the customer side. And both in terms of contract pricing, in terms of spot freight pricing and all that. So that's the one that we're currently the most excited about. But it seems like every couple of years we come up with some great new idea that transforms the industry. And it's just kind of my job to make sure that, we're in the group that's leading that charge, not finding out about it after it happens.
Right. And you pick the right ones because, sometimes there's 4 or 5 companies that are kind of going after it. And
you got to choose your friends wisely. That's very, very important. And then, once you make a relationship decision, you got to work together and stick with it.
How much does the person behind the technology impact your decision to like invest your resources and time into implementing a technology?
Enormously. But if I don't have really hardcore belief in the founder or the leadership team, then there's no chance.
Does that even trump the current status of the technology? Like maybe the technology is not completely mature, but you really believe in the leader. Would you maybe take a bet on that as opposed to a system that maybe is a little more well refined? But
sure, I'll give you an example. We just went live with Go Highway. Go Highway app is the new Jordan Graft, Brittany Graft carrier onboarding company. It's sweet. They've completely shattered status quo expectations of what it's like to get onboarded if you're a truckload carrier for a brokerage, in terms of data, identity management and single sign-on for digital freight matching industry-wide. It's a spectacular new company. But there's no chance I would have ever done it, at least this early.
Right. Yeah.
Unless I knew, trusted, and believed in the founders, Jordan.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Here
we are, and it's going great.
So exactly.
Yeah, everybody signed up for Highway. All the
Shout out to Jordan Graft and his team over there. I haven't seen that yet. I need to check that product out. I haven't.
You should have him on. He's great.
I need to get him on. Yeah, we'll definitely get that on. Yeah, no, I think the founder and the people behind the technology is so critical. So I'm glad to hear you say that. I think it's really valuable to think about that whenever you're considering technology. What about automation? I know automation right now, like you talked about, that's huge. Automating spot quotes, automating quoting to customers, and that type. How far do you think this thing can go with automation? I mean,
I could go fully automated in the right situation. If you have active buy-in from both the shipper and the carrier, and a desire to do business faster, and a trust in the rails that are being built by the brokers, then I think we can do a lot.
Do you think all modes, or is it going to be specific? Like probably start with van and work that way. But I mean, do you think it can get to all modes? Like, flatbed, specialized.
Obviously, if you have the more liquidity you have, the easier it is to automate. So van being the highest volume, I think that does make the most sense. But I'm seeing a lot of parallels in what we're seeing in freight brokerage that we saw like in Wall Street back in the 80s and 90s as that went automated with smart contracts, swaps, all that kind of stuff, options, like all that cool stuff that happens when you have standardized rails. And I think it's possible. at least in part of the brokerage community, to establish those rails and to agree on some of the non-monetary variables to make them standard. And if we're able to do that, then yeah, we can automate and go faster. The biggest reason why automation doesn't happen is because of risk and fraud and a lack of trust. But if we could figure out ways to eliminate that as a brokerage community, and maybe have barriers of entry like banks do, then we can go faster. Yeah, and I think it's in everybody's interest to have the matching and the selling go faster. And when we do that, we're able to take that efficiency and give it back to the customers in the form of rate decreases and aggressive pricing. I think that's the core strategy of a lot of the big digital frame matching companies out there right now, and definitely a wave that we intend on riding as well.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see where it goes from an automation standpoint. I think it's fascinating just to see that, just keep pushing the envelope. Companies just keep getting more automated, and what's going to be the next big technology that's going to take it to the next level.
The one thing that I always think about when I think about this is just, I heard the CEO of Peapod or one of those things, Instacart or one of those things, I think it was Peapod, speak a number of years ago at a conference, and he said that when they first started, they sucked and they couldn't get anything right, and they had a 1-star rating, and they would have like 70% accuracy on their order fulfillment, and they would have delays and all that, but people kept coming back, and people kept trying it again, and people kept giving them another shot, even though they were kicking and screaming the whole time. And that's because they were shattering the status quo expectations of what it's like to shop for groceries. And despite the fact that they sucked, it was still so much better than the old way of doing business, which was getting in your car and going and walking the aisles of the grocery store and taking an hour out of your busy day, or bringing your kids with you, or whatever it may be. And they eliminated.
You don't enjoy that? You enjoy doing that?
They eliminated that pain, and that was big. That was a big enough shattering of the status quo expectations of business for people to keep doing it, even though it wasn't going that well in the early days. And now look what you have. You have pretty much full grocery shopping automation available, at the biggest stores like Whole Foods, but also the smaller ones, the local ones as well. It's been a full adoption over the last 10 years or whatever. Yeah. And I see a lot of similarities in our business where, yeah, we might not have fully automated participation on the carrier side, or we might not be able to cover all the loads that we get from the customers automatically because of a million different reasons, mostly pricing. But still, it's so much better than going on the DAT or going on Truck Stop and calling a posting with a number with loose information and waiting on hold and talking to some carrier rep and getting the information verbally and typing it into your system, running your miles, checking your rates, waiting on hold for them to get it approved from their manager. And then a lot of the times you get a no, you got to hang up and start over with the next
right.
That is a bad.
With no carryover. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That as time goes on, and as decision makers at brokerages and truckload carriers get younger and younger and younger, and more millennial, that way of doing business will be gone.
Yeah,
and that is going to happen faster and faster than anybody thinks. I believe.
Yeah.
So that's that's kind of our core strategy is lead the charge of the new way, of the digital way, of the visible way, of the way where you have a product that people trust, you have salespeople that people like and want to do business with over and over again, and then you have a brand where you have a long-term vision of us being a player in the business, and we're a broker that you want to be hauling loads for. If we can get all those things, then we can get
formula.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, we can talk more about all those things. I love all those topics you just said. It's a great way to wrap up the show. And to touch on your last point, why not you guys? Why not you guys be the leaders in doing that? So love seeing you guys be out on the forefront and all that.
Yeah, working on it. Thanks, Trey.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, thanks for being on the show, man. Need to have you back sometime. We're coming up on 30 minutes. For everybody watching, thanks for being a part of the live stream and for contributing some comments. Make sure you come back tomorrow for episode 96, where I'm going to have a conversation with our sales and ops director, Chris Horton, to talk about what life is like here at Beta Consulting Group. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. And again, Will, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it. Enjoy that vacation.
Yeah, thanks, Trey. See you soon.
All right. See you guys. See everybody. Man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah. Thanks for